Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to the Attic. It's time for another voicemail. Today's voicemail is from Daniel. Let's listen to what Daniel has to say.
Hi, Lloyd. My name is Daniel. I'm from California in the United States. I'd like to start off by saying that I am not an ex-Jehovah's Witness. I am an ex-Catholic, and I watch your channel all the time. I have read your book, The Reluctant Apostate. It's one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. I'm not a big reader, but I really like your book. I want to say that although you may not realize it, you are a professor. You have taught me all of my critical thinking skills when it comes to dismantling religious arguments. I consider myself an anti-theist atheist. I love your channel. I think that you are a marvelous person. I just saw your video about how you're being attacked by other members of the ex-Jehovah's Witness community, and I really think that's unfortunate and sad. And I know that you mentioned that it's very hard for you to delve into the world of Jehovah's Witnesses because it's hurt you so much. I understand that. And if you're not capable of being a Jehovah's Witness activist, then you should consider at least becoming an anti-Christian activist, because over the last 3 years, as I've learned about Jehovah's Witnesses, one thing that has come up to me over and over again is I listen to their videos, and it's so similar to what I used to hear when I was being raised as a Christian. Jehovah's Witness beliefs are not that far off from mainstream Christianity. Mainstream Christianity is every bit as deranged and abusive as Jehovah's Witnesses. They scare you with hell. They may not shun you. My family has not shunned me, but they will scare you with hell. They will say that you are going to burn in hell for eternity if you do not follow their way of living. And I very strongly believe that the vast majority of Christian leaders know full well that it isn't true, that Jesus is never coming back, that heaven and hell do not exist. They know, and they're lying and scamming people. Therefore, I urge you to maybe broaden your horizons and go after religion in general, and try as hard as you can to pull as many people that are willing to listen to the lies of Christianity over to the side of non-belief, to the side of atheism. There are people on the fence that are not sure, but they don't have the courage to walk away because they're scared of hell. You can give them that courage, Lloyd. Dark Matter 2525 did that for me, and I hope that you will consider doing that for mainstream Christianity, because Christianity is very deceptive, it is manipulative, it is abusive, it is disgusting. And I really hope that what I've said here will have an impact on you, and encourage you to look at mainstream Christianity for the cult and the lie and the scam that it is, and try to expose it. Um, and basically, I've also learned a lot about online scams over the past couple of years, and Christianity is so similar to an online scam. It is amazing. I even wrote a presentation once comparing the two. However, Lloyd, I want you to know you're my idol. You're an absolute inspiration. You are a professor. You are a great teacher. And I hope that you'll keep your channel alive, and you'll keep helping people that have been indoctrinated into religious circles, and give them the courage to walk away from religion and realize that hell doesn't exist, and the repercussions are just ways of manipulating and scamming people. Anyway, Lloyd, please play this on your channel and enlighten as many people as you possibly can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts in that voicemail. You were very, very generous with your compliments about me. Too generous, in fact. I'm definitely not a professor. I sure wish I had that sort of qualification in my background, but in order to earn that qualification, I would need to do, years and years of studying. And so I take my hat off to those who do go through that process. And I think they're the ones who are worthy of being called professors. They're the ones who deserve the accolades. But I do appreciate, the very kind things that you've said. It's nice to know that you've read my book, The Reluctant Apostate, and found it helpful. And look, I'm broadly in agreement with many of the things that you've said. I especially appreciate your concern for me and my well-being, and you're clearly thinking about how I can, move on from the trauma of my Jehovah's Witness background, which in many ways still haunts me. I kind of have to dip into it every time I speak on the subject, and I've very much had my fingers burned, to put it mildly, by dealing with the toxicity of the ex-Jehovah's Witness community. So I think that you are coming at this from a place of concern and love, and I very much appreciate that. And look, I do, as it happens, hope to branch out more in the future. I think of ex-Jehovah's Witness activism work as a job that slowly kills you, to coin a lyric from one of my favourite all-time songs, No Surprises, Radiohead. It eats away at me, and for a while now I've wanted to branch out more into religion and how religions work and how religious belief works. And I've made videos, talking about God with people on the street. I tried doing the Change My Mind series. Unfortunately, we struggled when making that series, both to find people who would actually debate me in the street, and it turns out to find people who would watch that content, because for whatever reason, those videos didn't do so well with views, which is ultimately why we stopped making them. But I am, as it happens, interested in, religious belief and how people arrive at it, how it develops. I'll always be interested in that, and I'm certainly interested in broadening the scope of my work so that I'm not so focused on Jehovah's Witnesses. I think I've made no secret of that, actually, on this channel. I can't, however, become, as you put it, an anti-Christian activist. So your words were, go after a religion in general. Well, that's already sort of the plan, but in terms of being an anti-Christian activist, I think I actually do describe myself in The Reluctant Apostate as an anti-theist. And to a degree, I still identify in that way. It's just that I really do believe in giving people some leeway to find their own way through life. And I'm not saying that I feel like I should, back off when it comes to telling people, God isn't real. I feel on this channel like I've very much not done that. I've very much exposed the Bible to just as much scrutiny and in fact ridicule as books published by Jehovah's Witnesses. I've made entire videos about sexual depravity in the Bible, scientific inaccuracy in the Bible, immorality in the Bible, which is why, again, I relate to much of what you say about Christianity essentially being the problem. It's just that I've always believed in a show don't tell approach. the minute I start telling my audience that they shouldn't believe stuff, is the minute that I feel I've crossed over into more or less becoming the very thing that I hate, or the thing that I've left behind. I don't want to be a preacher, either for or against any kind of dogma. I want to present the facts, and I want to be open about my opinion and about how I'm interpreting things. But I very, very passionately believe in letting the chips fall where they may, letting the audience come to their own conclusions. And I'll be honest, I'm really not interested in deconverting the world, which I suppose is what you would need to be in order to be a true anti-theist or a true anti-Christian activist. You would want to pretty much eradicate Christianity and or theist belief. And I'm not completely sure that I even want to live in a world where that is the reality, where religion has just been completely eradicated, because what would the cost be? The cost would be people's minds being policed so that they're not allowed to think religiously anymore. And I am the first to say that, religious belief has its drawbacks. I'm the first to get on that soapbox. But I also have learned an awful lot, especially over the last 2 years, 18 months. I've learned an awful lot about trauma, and I've learned an awful lot about life in general. I've already made a video about my brushes with nihilism, my mental health, and I'm at that point in my life, and have been for some time, where I'm thinking, you know what, whatever gets you through the week, I even wrote a song recently, Not Your Religion, because I'm getting back into songwriting and expressing my creativity in different ways. And whatever gets you through the week is one of the lyrics from that song. You can find it on the channel, by the way. Little plug. And that's genuinely what I think. I'm going to express my thoughts about religion and my thoughts about the Bible. But ultimately, I'm really not in the business of telling people what conclusions they should reach regarding the information I'm presenting. And I would find it quite chilling if people felt that I was telling them what conclusions they would reach. That's really not the vibe I'm going for. I want people to feel free to reach their own conclusions, because life is so complicated and there are so many issues to deal with, so much stress, navigating relationships, dealing with, all of the problems that life just hurls at you. And someone's going to come along and say, hey, the biggest problem you need to get rid of in your life at the moment is the church that you're going to, or the idea of religion in general. I cannot be that person. Though I hate to disappoint you, I just can't be that person. And it's mostly because I actually would feel arrogant to suggest that religion is the biggest problem that someone has. So just to kind of assume, without even meeting someone, that the number one threat to their happiness is a belief in the supernatural, I would find that quite a repugnant approach or attitude to take. I would frankly find it supremely arrogant. And the best analogy I can use is cigarettes. So we all know that smoking is dangerous for you. We all know that it lines your lungs with tar and, if left unchecked, can lead to lung cancer. It's a stimulant, nicotine at least. It's bad for your heart. It's addictive. No behavior that kind of gets you on a treadmill of compulsion where you need to do something, can be described as a healthy thing. We can write books about how bad, and many people have written books about how bad smoking is. But if we're going to start going around telling people, you need to get rid of religion, should we not, with the same zeal or fervour, be going around pulling people's cigarettes out of their hands and stamping on their packets of cigarettes? That's where I feel this leads to. In other words, isn't it better to just make the information available? Smoking is bad. Religion is not founded in fact. So just make that information available and let people reach their own conclusions in their own sweet time, based on the fact that life is incredibly stressful, and sometimes it's like Jenga, sometimes people need the surrounding blocks a little bit in order to pull out, the one that's doing the most damage in that moment. And do you really want to pull away all the blocks at once? Do I feel comfortable playing God in that way, where I'm just going to kind of scan everyone I meet, identify everything about them or about their habits that's BS, and order them to not do that anymore? That's just not the person I want to be. I don't think it's who you want to be. I don't think it's who you want me to be. And I understand where you're coming from with this voicemail, and I think it's coming from only a good place. It's coming from a place of, I've learned how toxic religion is, and I want to share this truth with other people. I just feel that there is a huge need to be balanced and to just exercise some restraint, because again, we just don't know what people are dealing with, and sometimes the issue that we think is the biggest problem that someone has in their lives might actually not be the biggest problem. It might just be a coping mechanism for them to deal with a much, much bigger problem. And I would rather, knowing through experience how complicated life is, just, do my investigations, uncover whatever facts I need to uncover about the Catholic Church or about the Bible or about Islam, the Quran, whatever. Make resources available, put out arguments, make my opinions clear, and just let people reach their own conclusions, which I think we can all broadly agree is a better way or a more productive way when it comes to furthering discourse and persuading people. So I hope some or all of what I've said is useful for you. And again, I really do appreciate your message. Again, it comes from a good place. I understand that. And yeah, thanks for leaving it. If you would like to leave a voicemail, the thing to do is go to speakpipe.com/Cedars, remembering to indicate clearly if you don't want me to broadcast your message on this channel. But that's all we have time for. Thank you for watching.